Hello friends, this is Sushrit Tendulkar and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is the 8th module in the series Introduction to Natural Language Processing. In this video, we're going to learn about the intuition behind backpropagation, which is used in training a neural network. Let's get started. Neural networks. In the earlier tutorial, we had seen the understanding of the simple neural network. If you have not watched that video, I highly recommend to watch that first and then come back here. To give an overview, a neural network will take inputs. It will have its own biases and weights. And then finally, it produces some output. If you take the example of predicting the price based on the floor space and the rooms, we want a neural network to learn weights and biases so that it can produce the output. In the sense that 71 multiplied with something, 4 multiplied with something should give us the output as 250k, or 98 multiplied with something plus 5 multiplied with something should give us the output as 209k. And we want our neural network to learn these weights. So how does neural network learn? Let's say in the training process, it assigns random numbers to this plus random numbers to this, and it calculates the output. And there is something called as error function that calculates the difference, and then difference is passed on to these weights and biases so that they can update. Now we have taken a simple error function to explain the concept easily. But in real world, error function might not be a simple difference. It can be some other function like log likelihood. So depending on the situation, we use different error functions, and that will help us identify the gradients. Let's dig a little deeper into this. We are given some function. X is a vector of inputs, and we are interested in computing the gradient of f at x, which is delta fx. And why do we want to do that? As we just said before, the function f will be some loss function with the corresponding inputs as x, and these will be nothing but weights and biases. So we want to be able to find the gradient of function at some variable x. Let's see the interpretation of gradients. We'll try to understand some simple calculus to find the partial derivatives of two popularly used functions in deep neural network, addition and multiplication. Let's say we have a function which takes x and y as inputs and then performs addition operation. Now we want to find the partial derivative of x. We know that this can be written as partial d by dx of x to the power 1, and x can be written as x to the power 1, and the partial derivative of y, which is constant, that is 0. And we know that the derivative of x to the power n is nothing but n into x to the power n minus 1. So this becomes 1 into x to the power 1 minus 1, and 1 minus 1 is 0, and this is nothing but 1. So the partial derivative of function f with respect to x is 1. And similarly, we can find the partial derivative of function with respect to y, and that will also be equal to 1. Let's take a different example where function takes x and y as input and then performs multiplication operation. So partial derivative of function f with respect to x, which is d by dx of x to the power 1 into y, and we know that derivative of x to the power n is n into x to the power n minus 1. So this term becomes 1 into x to the power 1 minus 1 into y, and this whole term becomes 1, and the output is y. So the partial derivative of f with respect to x is y. Similarly, partial derivative of f with respect to y is x. Now what does derivatives tell us? Derivatives indicate the rate of change of a function with respect to very small change in the corresponding variable. So here this is the function we have, which is x into y, and we are saying that partial derivative with respect to x is y. That means if we change the value of x by a very small amount, then the whole value of this output changes by this amount. So that's what this partial derivative tells us, and this is what we call as gradients. Let's take an example. If you had x as 2 and y as -4, then function of x of y becomes 2 into -4, which is -8. And derivative on x, which is df by dx, is y, which we have seen in the earlier example. So derivative of function with respect to x is y, which is -4, which we have already defined here. Now, if you change the value of x by small amount, then the total output should increase by 4 units because we have negative sign, the output should decrease. So what does that mean? Instead of 2, if you make it 2.1, so we're increasing the value of x by small amount, and let's keep y as it is. Then f of xy becomes 2.1 into -4, which is -8.4. And if we take the difference, earlier we had -8, now we have -8.4. The difference is -0.4. This is exactly what this gradient is saying, that the output will decrease by 4 units, and it will decrease because of the negative sign. So if you increase by 0.1, that output will decrease by 0.1 into -4, which is -0.4. Let's understand the chain rule of backpropagation. Let's take a little complicated example. Function which takes 3 inputs x, y and z and performs x plus y into z. Let's break this down a bit. So we have intermediate function q that performs addition operation, and then that is multiplied with z to form the final function. So in terms of steps, we first perform q of x comma y, which is equal to x plus y, and then we perform f of q comma z, that is q into z. Our aim is to find the derivative of function with respect to x, y and z. Note that function f takes q and z as inputs and produces q, z as output. We can't directly take derivative of function with respect to x because there is no x and y here. So we have to follow something known as chain rule. So let's start with the second step. So if you have to imagine this as a neural network, this can be one layer, this can be the output layer. So we start with the output layer first. So df by dz, which is q, which we have seen earlier. Df by dq becomes z, and we have seen how to calculate the partial derivative with respect to multiplication operation. So now we want to find df by dx. Our intention is to find df by dx, and we cannot calculate directly here. So we have to start from here, then go to here, and then finally find out the final derivative. So we start with here df by dq, which we can find out from here, and then from here we do dq by dx, df by dq into dq by dx, and we know that df by dq is nothing but z and dq by dx is 1. We have also seen how to calculate the derivative for addition operation. So dq by dx becomes 1. So it is z into 1, that is nothing but z. So similarly we can find the derivatives for y, df by dy. Again we start with the last step. We can first find out df by dq because q is available here. And from here we go here. So we calculate dq by dy. And we know the derivative for df by dq is z, and dq by dy for addition operation, which is 1. So z into 1, that becomes z. Let's plug in some numbers into this. Let's take x as -4, y as 2 and z as -3. Now we know that first we perform the intermediate step, that is q of x comma y equals q x plus y. So x plus y becomes -4 plus 2, which is -2. And then we perform the final step, f of q comma z equals q into z, that is -2 into -3, that is 6. Now df by dz, we know that it's q. We can directly plug in -2 here. We know what's the value of q here. And df by dx is nothing but z. Z is -3, we have defined here. And df by dy equals z, which is -3. So this is how we calculate the gradients, and these are used in deep neural networks or any neural network for updating the weights. Let's look into the same operation through the eyes of a circuit. We have three inputs here, X, Y and Z, the same values, and we have two gates here. This gate performs addition operation and this gate performs the multiplication operation. Let's start with this one. This is intermediate gate Q, which performs addition operation to produce the output -2. And this Q is fed into this function, this gate, along with Z. -2 into -3 becomes 6. This is a simple forward pass. And what we can notice here is that this gate can perform dq by dx and dq by dy without even knowing what's going to happen here. So we call this as local gradients. This is with respect to the input which it has got. Once the forward pass is over, we'll calculate the back propagation. We'll start with the final function or the final gate here. This gate can perform partial derivative with respect to the input it has got. So it has got input as dq, it has got input as q and z, so it can calculate its derivative with respect to dq and z. Let's do df by dq, which is nothing but z multiplication operation, and z is -3, we already know here, so we put that number here. And we also can easily perform df by dz. df by dz is nothing but q is -2 here. Now we are interested in partial derivatives with respect to x and y, and we cannot directly compute with respect to f and with respect to final function because they are not directly connected here. We perform chain rule, that is, we multiply this gradient with the local gradient to get the final value. So df by dq into dq by dx will give df by dx. Again we'll perform chain rule. We multiply the local gradient with the final gradient to get the derivatives with respect to y. This can be a simple explanation for how the forward propagation and the back propagation works with the help of a simple gate. Understanding the back propagation, what's happening in the back propagation process? So every gate can perform two things. One, it can perform its operation that is intended to either addition or multiplication in the previous example. Plus it can also calculate the local gradient without even worrying or without even knowing what's going to happen in the next step. And once the forward pass is over, during the back propagation, the gate will eventually learn about the gradient of its output value and then for the entire circuit. And we use chain rule so that we can get the gradient for all the inputs. We have already seen this. This gate can perform both the operation, which is addition operation, plus it can perform the local gradient as well. This gate can perform the output value and it can also calculate the local gradient. Now one final thing, if we think that the whole purpose of the gate is to maximize the output value, that is, instead of 6, we can imagine that the gate wants to output higher value 6, 7 and 8, then this gradient will help this circuit to achieve that. Now this gradient, for example, it says -3. That is, if this gate can output lesser and lesser or smaller and smaller value, then this output will increase. For example, if instead of -2, this becomes smaller and it becomes -3, then -3 into -3 becomes 9. So the output will increase. That's what this gradient is talking about. And similarly, to achieve this value, it says these gradients should be negative and this can be smaller and smaller. So that means instead of -4, let's say this becomes -5. And -5 plus 2 becomes -3. And -3 into -3 becomes 9. So again, output will increase. Back propagation can thus be thought of as gates communicating to each other through the gradient signal, positive or negative, whether they want their outputs to increase or decrease, and how strongly, so as to make the final output value higher. And this is the whole logic behind the backpropagation, and that's how training of a neural network works. Let's recap what we learned. First, we saw the need for backpropagation, the interpretation, the chain rule, and the intuition. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Keep learning. Bye-bye.